What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 with our Italian campaign. We have just finished up our war inside Ethiopia, and surprisingly enough, not only have we gained 2 rubber, but we've also gained a lot of extra recruitable population, 1 military factory and 1 civilian factory. Right now, we're working on doing a lot of repairs inside Ethiopia, and we are trying to build up our economy as quickly as we can. We have such a low amount of civilian factories that we really just need to keep up. And so the idea is we are going to start building up our empire inside this episode. So we're on the 18th of March, 1936. We're working on a lot of these new constructions and new technologies that will definitely improve the amount at which we are producing new civilian factories. So imagine having better construction speed. Eventually, we are going to go ahead and get the ability to get a captain of industry, giving even more construction speed and a lot of other improvements. We are also going to be improving our economy. So basically, we have different laws regarding the economy that we're using. Right now, we have partial mobilization, and the idea is we are going to be reducing the direct amount of consumer goods that are being affected by the marketplace. So, what does that mean? Well, normally, in a free economy, obviously people are going to want things like toasters, people are going to need things like lamps and, vehicles and cars and things that are consumer goods that really keep the economy churning. But when you're in a war, the idea is the government takes control of a lot of your civilian factories, and, instead of making toasters and things that people want, we actually create more factories. So that means we have a better backbone for whatever we need to produce. So what I want to do is take control of the economy and basically remove a lot of these consumer goods factories that are reductions. So I have 9 factories that are being tied up, and I want to basically remove that number from 9 all the way down to 7 or something like that. I'm absolutely never going to get to 0, but the idea is this is a percentage, so it's 20% of the entire amount of factories that I have. So it's not always going to be 7. It might eventually move to like 15 or 20 or something like that. So we are on the 31st of March. We are about to unlock electronic mechanical engineering. Once I have 150 political power, like I said, I'm going to be unlocking one of our very first political advisors, and I'm going to try to improve the economy as much as I can. I might even speed up to speed 5 because we're not really doing anything. And it looks like the Spanish Civil War has broken out. And ultimately what this means is there are 2 different factions battling over Iberia. We have Republican Spain, which is actually, you would think it would be democratic, but it is surprisingly communist. And we also have the Nationalist Spain, who is surprisingly fascist. So because our country is fascist, Benito Mussolini is fascist, what we want to do is obviously support Nationalist Spain, who is, of course, fascist as well. So, the civil war has erupted in Spain. Several generals seeking to overthrow the current government in Madrid have issued a pronunciamiento, and a large portion of the Spanish armed forces have answered their call to arms. The right-wing nationalist faction has occupied much of Spain, including the overseas territories. Loyalist forces and volunteers have assembled under the left-wing Republican government, determined to resist the push to their last breath. The battle for Spain has begun. Okay, so where I stand right now, if I go ahead and take all of these units and try to deploy them, I don't know if I can. I don't think I can. What I wanted to do is try to get more of a total amount of troops, because right now I can only send over 2 tanks. If I had more troops, you can send a larger portion. It's the same percentage of troops that you can send as volunteers. So if I had a more maximum amount of troops, instead of 2 units, I could send over 3. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this unit, and I'm going to go over to Nationalist Spain, send volunteers, and I'm going to send over 2 units. I can only send 2. I want this to go to 3. But I'm going to send over 2 units of tanks, and we are going to try to go ahead and not only gain experience for our generals, but we obviously want Nationalist Spain to win this war. Okay, in a minute though, I am going to get all of these units. I'm going to, instead of going low priority, I'm going to go to high priority. And we've unlocked the electronic mechanical engineering. Let's go ahead and continue down this tree here. We have already gotten a research bonus of -2. Let's get an additional bonus of -3 for a total of -5% for the rest of the game. We absolutely want better industry and better engineering. Our tanks are going to be arriving any day now. Supposedly. There they are. So we have 2 units of tanks. Instead of giving you Giovanni Messi, I think I'm actually going to give you this Field Marshal. Even though he's weaker and has a variety, you know, obviously he's not good with tanks, unlike this Panzer leader. But the idea is I want this leader in particular to go as strong as possible, only because he is a Field Marshal who is level 3. We have a variety of other Field Marshals, only 2 actually, that are level 1, so he is our strongest choice. So our number 1 goal is let's move on into Bilboa. And I'm going to try to use the tanks against the Iberians. We have tanks. I don't believe they do. So we're going to see exactly how well we're going to be able to conquer the enemy here. So the more damage we do, the more resources that we free up for Nationalist Spain. Surprisingly enough, I could send in some airplanes, I believe. I don't know if we will. Let's go ahead and deploy all of these units. Can I finally send in another volunteer? I wanted 3. I can finally have up to 3. So let's send in this 1 division. Send you there. Every time I send in more volunteers, the world tension does go up. And I see here that we still haven't taken Bilboa. And I have unassigned divisions, so let's get this fixed. All of these units will now move on over to the Alpine region. And finally, still waiting for this volunteer transfer in limit 21st of May, so in 1 day. There we are. This 1 division is going to move on over to this 2nd division, so having 3 in total, much like before, and everybody is going to move to Bilboa. Okay, so pausing the game, we now need to unlock a new national focus, so much like before, we're going to continue into the industry tab, and now going into industrial effort 2, giving us, unlike before civilian factories, we're now going to get some permanent military factories. So obviously I would love to have 4 additional factories. Let's put 3 into our weapons, or better yet, let's put 2 into our weapons and 2 into support equipment, because I am definitely going to need both of those to gear up as many mountaineers as I possibly can. So we've taken the port of Bilboa. All 3 of these units have no real goal anymore, so let's move on down to Barcelona. I also want to be cognizant that these are light tanks. Attacking into mountains would be devastating, so we are going to go for plains and then hills and then straight into urban terrain. So we do have a strategy. I'm not just clicking. Okay, basic machine tools have been unlocked, which now means for the rest of the game, we can have 60% production efficiency rather than 50, and ultimately, that's actually really, really good. So, what we need to do is just continue on down production and the industry tab as much as we can. And moving on into industry rather than production is really what we're looking to do. So right now we can go between concentrated industry or dispersed industry. So that means all of our civilian factories are either going to be in large towns or in the countryside and all dispersed and spread apart. So there's good things and there's bad things. Putting them all together means the supply chain and logistics are a lot closer together, so that means our factory output is increased. However, if everything is centralized, not only is that better for us, but it's better for the enemy, so that means they have a little bit less to bomb. So if I went with dispersed industry, I would get less factory output, but basically I would have a lot of better improvements that, you know, like factory bomb vulnerability. I mean, it's minus 10%. It's going to go down to like minus 40% eventually, or 50%. So really, this is the best way to go if you were thinking about getting bombed. Let's go with concentrated industry. And the idea is all of our civilian factories will now work harder. I'm going to build a few more civilian factories because I really want to build up the economy as much as I can. And because we're still building civilian factories, we are going to therefore go ahead and unlock our first political advisor, the Captain of Industry, giving all of our future civilian factories, infrastructure, and refinery a construction speed bonus. Absolutely phenomenal, so we are going to take that. During this Spanish Civil War, well, it's not like we're just helping the nationalist Spain. We are actually training our generals, we're training our armies, and we're gaining some army experience that we could cash in and utilize eventually. So it's not like this is really just a waste of time. And ultimately, if this works, I mean, we're going to gain a new ally who's fascist. And so ultimately, we could even decide to move on France eventually, which is what's going to happen inside World War II, and this is actually what happened in real life. Looks like the Soviet Union has come to the aid of Republican Spain. Okay, another thing that I do want to mention is all the way down to the south here inside Ethiopia. I put down some air divisions. I don't want these guys to be utilized at all, so I am going to remove all of them. So therefore, they fly back home, and I will remaneuver them in time. Going back to the default map mode, eventually we're going to move on to Barcelona. Surprisingly enough, we're losing some of these fights. There's a lot of troops here. Can I move into the mountains and try a double-pronged attack? And now I want to move into the forest. Seeing if this could work. Our research slot has been unlocked. As much as I would like to go into construction too, it is not the year 1937. I could continue on, but I would have a ahead of time penalty, so I don't want to do that. Looking around, I definitely want to unlock the radio, but I think my number one priority is actually going to be to get better airplanes. And the reason why is we have these fighters. They have such a low range, it is absolute garbage. I mean, these aren't even that much better, but these fighters are just absolute trash. So let's go ahead and switch them on out. And once we get all three of our tanks to where they should be, I want to go straight for Barcelona, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Industrial effort has been unlocked, and now we've gained 4 military factories. Let's continue our technology and our industry, so therefore we want to unlock another extra research slot, and that's going to be very, very good for us in the long run. I wish these tanks were better, and the only other thing that's bad is we're not really producing light tanks anymore, so the more we lose, the more we're going to be in a deficit, so we're at minus 38 now. Can we just switch on to Barcelona? I don't really know. I should have read that, I'm sorry guys. That was the Olympic Games. And I believe Nazi Germany showed up in force. They did very, very well. And obviously Canada and the United States and a lot of other countries were there. This war is not going in our favor. I may just go ahead and make my way down, make my way over, and just try to glide on down the side of Iberia. You know, had I have taken this port, everything would have gone very, very well. But it's not going in our favor. So maybe we could just take more territory, and if we could take the port of Valencia, not only would we gain a lot of supplies, but the enemy would lose supplies. So that's what we need to do. And what's cool is all of these units are gaining experience. Our general is better yet, our field marshal is gaining experience. I want to move to Barcelona, but there's just so many troops there. I don't think it's going to be possible. And we're on speed 5. Here is our extra research slot. Exactly what we needed. So looking at industry itself, I do want to get better excavation. Don't think I'm going to worry about it just yet. We're in October of 1936. Let's go ahead and do a quick improvement to our radios. 146 days is going to give better reinforcement rates. And hopefully by the time 1937 moves around, we will have the ability to get better industry. Okay, so here we stand. Do we want Italian highways, or do we want to start with the Triumph in Africa? I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into Army Primacy. We're going to get some massive reduction to our land doctrines, and we're going to get 2 permanent military factories, which I absolutely want. Let's go ahead and throw in another infantry equipment and a support equipment. And right now we have a positive amount. We have a surplus of infantry equipment and a surplus of support equipment, but we really are going to need a lot more. Taking a quick glance, all of our Alpine divisions are pretty much prepped and ready to go. I want 30... I want 36 in all. So 12 plus 24 is 36. And I have 14. So therefore, we are going to need to build 16. That's going to give us 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 22 divisions. I'm going to put them on low equipment priority. And better yet, I could just produce 8 for now, because I am just so far behind. So 8 divisions, 8 plus 22, 8 plus 14 is 22. 14 plus 10 is 24. So the reason why I want 24 is because the maximum amount of units one general can have is 24. And so really you want 24 divisions inside every single general. Okay, Grand Battle Plan has been unlocked. Now we have a 30% bonus for all of our planning, which is freaking phenomenal. Every other country is going to have about 50%. So imagine having a 30% bonus just at the beginning of the war. That's amazing. Let's also go with Prepared Defenses, giving us more defense and more organization for all of our infantry, motorized and mechanized for the rest of the game. 292 days is a long time to invest, but we obviously have a lot of technology, so let's go ahead and put that to good use. Once we take Valencia, or if we take Valencia, we are then going to start making our way back to Barcelona. Maybe even taking Madrid. We have 158 political power. We're still working on a lot of the civilian factories, but that doesn't mean we can't get industrial research time reduction. So for the rest of the game, all of these industries, somewhere. So everything in this tree is now going to have a 10%, oh, excuse me. I lied. That's actually one thing I'm kind of curious about. I get this entire tab as industry. I've been playing this game so long, I don't think I've ever realized this. This entire tab is industry. I'm wondering if everything inside the industry tab is actually 10% reduced. I think what it is I think everything in these tabs is 10% reduction, except it doesn't count the synthetic oil. That's what I've always thought it was. I guess I'll need to Google that. Okay, Valencia is not going well. I think much like before, I'm going to back off, move into this forest. And the idea is we're going to attack from 2 different angles. Now, I didn't do that up here because we didn't actually take this forest. I could have attacked from 2 angles, but I wanted to attack from 3. And the enemy is going to be overwhelmed very, very easily. And it looks like Valencia is about to be ours. So a lot of the enemy troops are going to be losing a lot of supplies. Let's actually keep moving down. Maybe we could take this port as well. Or better yet, we could take Murcia. I mean, there's really no one guarding it. Alright, another research slot is available. I'm actually going to go ahead and wait, because we can have a maximum amount of 30 days saved. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the ground running with 2 full lines of research. And I'm going to plow that into industry. Army Primacy has been unlocked. We've now gained... burping, I'm sorry. We have now gained 2 additional military factories. And we have the Anti-Comintern Pact. Germany proposes that we sign a pact recognizing that the aim of the Communist International, known as the Comintern, is to disintegrate and subdue existing states by all the means at its command. Convinced that the toleration of interference by the Communist International is in the internal affairs of the nations not only endangers their internal peace and social well-being, but is also a menace to the peace of the world, desirous of cooperating in the defense against the Comintern's subversive activities. So, do I want to join the German Empire here, or the German Reich, against the Comintern? So obviously this is bits and pieces of France. We are obviously fighting the communists inside Iberia, so I absolutely will. Let's join. Germany will like me, the Soviet Union will hate me, but I guess that's fine. I would much rather be an ally with the German Reich rather than the Soviet Union. Okay, so we have Army Primacy. Let's go ahead and unlock the Italian highways now. And basically all of our infrastructure inside Italy is going to be slightly improved, so that's absolutely what we need. All of our units are making their way back up north. We are going to try to go up and then into the forests, and then we're going to slide on into Barcelona. If we can remove this port, every single unit inside Barcelona, or inside this entire gap, is going to just wither away and die, because they lack supplies, they lack equipment, And we wanted to wait until the 1st of January 1937, so now, therefore, we have construction 2. So better speed, once again, so we had 10%, now it's 20% better. And we're going to have even more factory output, which is actually really good as well. So that's our entire goal, that's our entire plan. Looks like we're winning here for now. And we are about to move into the forests, supposedly. Now, it's obviously much easier to go into plains. I would like to just slide on down. I don't know if this will work. Alright, let's slide on down into Barcelona. We're fighting from multiple angles. And we have now unlocked our better fighter. We have a new research slot. Let's get production efficiency. Improved machine tools. All we need to do is take Barcelona, but it looks like we aren't winning at all. And it's because we lack tanks. Okay, so now I have more free civilian factories. Before I only had about 9, but it looks like now I have technically 17. I would like to have about 30, or maybe 32. I get that this is very bad because I need to start working on the actual military side of things, but I want to grow my economy a little bit more. And eventually I'm going to go ahead and start my war with Yugoslavia. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here as well, so thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you all have an awesome day, and I will see you in our next adventure.